Hey guys, and welcome back to Z3 Cubing. Today I'm going to make a giant tower of Rubik's Cubes. So today I'm going to be trying out doing something that I first did many years ago in a really old video, but hopefully on a much larger scale. If you've ever been to a really big competition, you may have seen people like stacking up cubes on their tables, just making as big of a tower as they possibly can, and that's what I want to do today, right here, from the ground up. So with right around 50 normal sized cubes, I should be able to make it from the floor down here all the way to the ceiling 8 or 9 feet above me. I'm not sure how exactly this is going to go. Again, I did do it a long time ago, but I think I kind of cheated, taped it to the wall right in the middle of the stack, and so I'm not really sure how hard it's going to be to get a structure to be entirely self-supported for 8 feet or so. I think it's definitely going to be a little bit harder than I remember to get a totally self-supporting structure, but we'll never know until we try it, so let's go ahead and start off with just a basic tower of 3x3 size cubes, starting on this table down here and going up, hopefully, to the ceiling. Let's get started. Okay, so maybe this is going to be a little bit harder than I first thought. I'm about halfway up and I cannot get the cubes to stay steady anymore. So I think we have to go back down to the ground and maybe think a little bit harder about this. So I think there's some cubes that actually are more stable than others. So maybe I should make a few stacks of cubes, find the ones that are the most stable by themselves, and maybe identify the types of cubes that work best for this, and try and make a stack using just those types of cubes. Man, this is hard. This is a lot harder than I thought it would be at first. I think what I'm going to do to maybe help prevent this happening is start to allow other types of cubes, like maybe a big 5x5. I think having bigger cubes at the base might help it be a little bit more stable, so I'm going to start off trying to do that and see what happens. Alright, I've made it more than halfway up to the ceiling and it seems to be pretty stable, definitely a lot more stable than it was with just 3x3s. So I'm going to move the camera up and hopefully try and get all the way up to the top. Alright, so I've gotten up to this point and it's just leaning too much for me to go any higher. There's probably some weird combination of cubes down at the bottom that's causing it to lean in this particular way. It's actually leaning directly backwards, which is kind of convenient because what I can do is take like a box like this and kind of support it right here in the middle. And hopefully do this and it will kind of just stay there. And there we go, now it's a lot more straight. I just need to tape the box to the wall. Okay, it is self-supporting itself beside the box, so let's see if I can get it to be a little bit more upright by moving the top a little bit to that side. Alright, that's definitely as close as I can get it to being perfectly upright, and the ceiling is actually helping a lot with the stability because it's kind of pressing against both sides and forcing it to all kind of be all as one. So let's see if we can get the box out. I actually did have to use a piece of tape here to get it to stay to one side. And there we go, no support. So we did have to cheat in the middle to get it up to this height, but we have made it totally self-supporting without anything touching it, all the way from the floor to the ceiling. So there we go, there's my first successful freestanding tower of 44 cubes. But now that we do have the tower here going from floor to ceiling, it is actually very stable, more stable than you might think. So what I'm going to do is actually build up some other towers, maybe on either side of it, and see just how high I can get with all the cubes that I have. I think using this as a support to make some other towers will work pretty well. That sounded really bad. I did not expect that to happen. I was actually trying to get that second tower all the way to the ceiling. I see a lot of broken pieces down here, so let me just zoom in on that real quick. Yeah, this is what I'm looking at. And you know, just for dramatic effect, you can do that too. So there's center caps everywhere. Like, what cube are these even from? Got a piece of a ghost cube. Luckily, it doesn't look like any cube has totally fallen apart. I did have one fall apart earlier when I was in the very early stages of the tower's construction. So it looks like it's all just center caps at this point, so I'm very happy about that. Actually, I was going to knock it over eventually, but I was gonna plan out and put like some pillows and stuff on the ground. So yeah, these cubes kind of had a hard landing. Hopefully none of them are broken on the inside or anything. I did actually make sure to put the cubes that I care most about near the bottom, so that the ones all the way at the top falling the full 8 feet are ones that I don't really care about. But what I'm gonna do now, against my better judgment, is, well, first of all, clean up some of these cubes that have fallen. But then I'm going to rebuild the tower, hopefully make it look a lot cooler than it was before, have like some weird spiraling cubes going up, a whole bunch of different towers, things like that. I'm going to see what I can do, so let's go. Darn it! I was just about to use this box up here to secure the cubes because I noticed it was starting to get really unstable and they all fell. So I guess we'll try and rebuild it up to that point, but I'm not quite so sure about this. Alright, so I've wedged some cardboard in there at the top, so I think we're stable now. I'm just gonna kind of shift everything around, make it hopefully a little bit more straight because it is very crooked right now. Alright, it's pretty much as straight up and down now as I can possibly hope. So let's try and get this box out of here. So I have it kind of taped to this cube, and it is shaking the entire tower very sketchily by trying to remove this. Whew, there we go, the box is now removed. And the tower is freestanding, and it looks a lot cooler than it did before. You see we have this whole spiral. I'll show you the bottom in a second. But yeah, there we go. We have a freestanding tower. I will admit I did have my slow motion camera running through the last 5 or 10 minutes just because I was expecting this thing to fall over. But somehow, by some miracle, it is standing. And there we go. There is perhaps the coolest looking freestanding Rubik's Cube tower of all time. It actually has a total of 61 cubes, and if you just count the height, so like counting each of these as one cube, that's 43, so a little bit less than we had last time, but of course we do have this giant cube at the bottom. So there's a lot more 3x3s, a lot more smaller cubes, and now I think it's time to knock it over. So I think I kind of have to stand back a little bit because I don't want to get hit in the head by a bunch of cubes. I do of course have a slow motion camera running, so we'll be able to see that later. Let's take a V cube and throw it at the tower, see what happens. Alright, standing back, 3, 2, 1, and go. That looked really cool. It doesn't look like these cubes sustained that much damage. Again, I had the most useless ones near the top. Lots of center caps missing, but not much worse than before, so. Anyway, that is pretty much it for this mess. I hope you guys enjoyed because I definitely did enjoy making it, and I'll see you guys next time.